Hi friends, welcome to today's episode of /IDontWorkHereLady. In today's episode, we are looking at 3 different stories. In the first story, a Karen hits a police officer for not serving her at a grocery store. In the second one, a woman tries to rob a bank but threatens the wrong employee. And in the final one, we learn that dressing up can definitely elevate your job status. Stay tuned and welcome to today's episode. This story is titled, You're Going to Call the Police? Sure, I'll wait. I, like so many that have passed through this sub, never fully believed these stories. Seriously, people can't that dense. Even as a police officer, I cannot recall in my 7 years as a sworn officer coming across some people that are as dense as some of these stories. Well, today disabused me of that quotation. Also, this will not be word for word, but to the best of my memory. Also, apologies for my English. I graduated a prestigious private school in the southern US and got my bachelor's in criminology, and I'm working on my master's at a university in the Midwest. So any mistake in my spelling or grammar is completely my fault. Background: I am a USMC vet and a police officer. Also, I am currently on admin duty because I tore my quad when I failed to properly jump a fence during a foot chase. So I'm working with a cane currently. The cast in this case is Karen, AM, who's the awesome manager, BC, the buddy cop, and me. Hi, it's me. The event. I had just gotten off my duty shift and decided that since the weather is going to be nice over the weekend, I'm going to get a couple steaks, some corn, and just stuff for a cookout with a couple of my buddies. I'm looking at the steaks, comparing A cuts before I put one back. When I hear it, the mating call of the wild Karen. This is a sound I am familiar with, but she can't seriously think that I work here. I am in a plain, logoless white polo shirt tucked into my uniform pants, midnight blue cargo pants, and my black boots. The workers here wear black button-up shirts, khaki pants, and a green apron with a store name on it. Managers tend to wear black pants but still have the apron, but with manager on the name tag. Sure enough, it was for me. Since I had ignored her, I earned an even more stern, throat-clearing directed toward me, and then a shrill, "Excuse me, I'm an a-hole, but I also think I'm hilarious." This is a horrible combination on facing a Karen. It is because of this disastrous mix of character traits that I call back to her without a look. "Absolutely, you're excused. The bathroom is that way," with a gesture toward the sign for the restrooms, before adding, "And I'm sure they have something in the pharmacy if you need more than that." The Karen goes, "That is no way to speak to a customer. You didn't even ask what I needed. Now." Then I interrupt her. "Look, I don't care. I'm not an employee here. I have no duty to help you. I do not look anything like a staff member here. If there's nothing else, I'll be returning to my shopping." Yes, I know, I was rude. I'm not going to make excuses for it. I have very little patience for these entitled morons. Karen, in full banshee shriek, goes, "I want your manager. I'm going to..." Me, going into full knife handing and CO Marine, bellow out, "Shut your mouth. I am a customer. I do not work here. Stop harassing me." The problem with going full devil dog when in public is the general public is not accustomed to the volume level a good yell from the diaphragm can produce. Also, the tone of voice is very hostile. The bigger problem with going full devil dog is when you're using a cane to keep you standing, it becomes very easy for you to be toppled. And this is exactly what Karen did. Fair play, Karen. Fair play. She kicked my cane out from under my hand, and I was too far forward to recover and went down like a sack of potatoes. She then started hitting me with her purse. I've been hit harder by pillows wielded by my 6-year-old niece, and yelling about me assaulting her and needing the police. I don't know if it was 2 minutes or 30 seconds, but it wasn't that long. I just felt like it was a bit because I was embarrassed about how easily I went down and how much it hurt my leg. But it was at this point that the manager came over and gets Karen off of me and helps me up. The whole time, Karen is still screaming until she remembered that she had her own phone and called 911, screaming things at me like, "I'm calling the police, you're in trouble now, and I didn't ask for you to rape me." What? The manager looked at me as confused as I was, and I just shrugged. The manager goes, "Do you know what is going on?" And I answer, "Yeah, she tried to get my attention. I made a glib remark. She told me to get my manager. I dressed her down, and then I was in the middle of unloading on her. I think she kicked my cane, and I went down. You saw the rest." The Karen goes, "Liar, you felt me up, and then when I pushed you off of me, you hit me with that stick, and if it wasn't for the fact that I hit you with my purse, I'd be dead." At this time, I'm pretty sure the dispatcher had said something to her. She said into the phone, "Yeah, he's about 6 foot, a large white man in a white polo and black pants and boots. Where at?" Insert store name and location here. "Yes, I think I am safe. The manager is here, but he seems to know my attacker. I think he wants to rape me too." "No, Karen, no. No one wants to rape you." The manager and I exchange looks before the manager asks me, "It appears she called the police. Can I ask you to wait in the store?" I answer with a nod. "Sure, I'll wait." It was only a couple of minutes before the cop comes walking up. He asked me, "What is happening here? We got a call about a sexual assault." The fact that I was addressed before Karen sent her into orbit. I could see the cop's eye just glaze over, and since I had trained the cop when she joined the force, I knew this meant he's already tuned the irate Karen out. I just looked at the cop and said, "Take her statement. This is the manager on duty, then review the security footage." Karen being Karen starts with "We don't need the security footage. This man sexually assaulted me. Arrest him." And she also threw this gem out. "You're a woman and you know him. You must know what type of a man he is. You can be honest that he probably has sexually assaulted you too." The cop looked over the manager and said, "I think it would help more if I were to see that footage first." It was at this point that the cop's partner tells the Karen that we both, Karen and I, are supposed to stay with him while the cop goes with the manager. Apparently, not only did the security camera catch everything in HD, but it also had audio. The cop returned about 5 minutes later, looked at our partner, and then pointed to Karen. "Arrest her for assault and making a false report." The cop then got into Karen's face and said, "I have been raped in the past. It is people like you that make false claims that make it so hard for us actual victims to get the help we need." And that was the end of it. The manager helped me get the rest of my things for the grill out, and I got a nice 25% off coupon. OP comes back with an edit. First, I would like to thank Hell Freezer for doing an amazing job reading this story. Second, according to my physical therapist, it does not appear Karen did anything to re-injure or set back my healing. As such, my lawyer has advised against a civil suit. This story is titled, "Karen Mistakes Me for a Bank Employee, Proceeds to Attempt to Rob the Bank, and Gets Arrested." Background. About 20 years ago, I worked for a company that made software for banks and credit unions. 2 smaller regional banks merged, and we were called to upgrade all the branches for the same version of software and to point the network to a new consolidated bank. This happens after hours so as not to interfere day-to-day operations. The whole process took several hours on site at each branch, so we were sure we would have plenty of time to roll things back if anything went wrong. We started a few hours before the bank closed. This would give us time to fix anything before the bank opened the next day. The process started with a meeting to go over the plan for the branch, so the bank's staff, some of who would be helping with the process because my team doesn't have complete access to the bank systems. This is a small bank. There is 4 offices, a conference room, and a space for like 5 tellers up front. It turned out it was payday for some large employer or something, but just as I started my meeting with the branch manager, the 2 staff from my company and the 2 bank employees who would be opening the banks the following day, the bank starts to get really busy. The meeting lasts about 30 minutes, and all the while the line and waiting area is filling up, so I rush through the details to the bank manager and release him. Then the 2 opening staff. I leave the details for my team for last. My team knew the process, they just needed to know what computers to start on first. Anyway, I dismiss the bank staff and they go to help the rush up front, and I continue my meeting with my team, then send them out to get some food since it's like the bank might not close on time anyway. I head over to the bank manager's office and immediately a woman asks under the rope line and makes straight for the office and tries to follow me inside. I didn't see her step out of line, so I at first thought maybe she was a bank employee. As soon as I turned around, she said something like, "It's about damn time. I've been waiting for half an hour." This was bullshit because we started the meeting at 4:30 and it wasn't even 5 yet. I tried to tell her she was mistaken, I don't work at the bank, but she cut me off, not even paying attention to what I was saying. She plopped herself down in one of the chairs and says, "I need to make a withdrawal." I replied, "Sorry, I can't help you with that. You'll need to wait in line." "No, I've already waited for an hour. I know you can do it. You've done it before." She slaps her ID and bank card on the desk and says, "Just open the damn drawer and give me $2,000. "I can't. I don't." I could even finish explaining, "I don't work here." "Bullshit. You've done it before. Give me $2,000. "I can't." That's it. At this point, she raised her voice and is now standing. I assumed she was going to leave and I went to open the door, but she pushed me back and yelled, "I'm not leaving this office until you give me $2,000. She then picked up a screwdriver out of the toolkit sitting on the desk and started prying at the desk drawer. I push her back and she swings at me with the screwdriver. I step back, but she scratches my arm, tearing my shirt, and goes back to prying at the drawer. I've had it at this point. I'm thinking she's nuts and I need to do something. I look out the office and it looks like everyone is busy, and I think maybe they didn't notice her yelling. It looks like she's not making any progress on the desk. It's too sturdy. I try a calmer approach and try to get her attention. She stops for a moment and looks at me like she forgot I was there. "Are you going to get me my money or what?" she snapped. "I'm not an employee of the bank." "Bullshit. You're just sitting in a meeting with the other employees." "Yes, but then get me my money or get out of my way," she interrupted before pushing me again. I finally had it. I looked out the window and it seemed like all the bank employees were calm and quiet. I thought, F, if I'm going to stand here and watch her rob the bank. She was a big woman and I played hockey against bigger, so even if she had a few pounds on me, I was pretty sure I could at least slow her down. I took a step back, brought my shoulder down, then with a step and a short lunge, I shoulder checked her into the brick wall behind her. She smacked her head on the wall, gave a short humph, and I knocked the wind out of her, and then she collapsed on the floor, unconscious. I watched her suspiciously for a moment, thinking that was easier than I thought. Why didn't I do that earlier? Then I thought, maybe I hurt her, so I knelt down to check on her. She was breathing. I shouldn't move her. The screwdriver flew across the office, so I just stepped over and walked out into the bank. About that time, I heard sirens, lots of them. A short while later, some police came into the bank. Having just assaulted a woman, leaving her unconscious, I put my hands up. The police walked over, looked at me, then walked into the office. I turned around and the bank staff were pointing at the office where I just left. Evidently, they triggered the silent alarm as soon as she yelled at me to give her money. They moved the other customers to the conference room and we were following protocol to comply and not interfere. The end result was that she woke up to being handcuffed. She was seen by an EMT briefly before being arrested for armed robbery, kidnapping, and assault. The screwdriver from the toolkit was taken as evidence and we teased my tech for the next few years. "You get your screwdriver back yet?" She came in for $2,000 and left with 5 to 10. She spent 4 years in prison. As an assault victim in that state, they notified me when she got out. I don't know why that woman needed $2,000, but man, that was just an aggressive way to get that $2,000. I think I would have laughed in her face first. Well, I don't know if I was ever in that position. What would you do if it were you? Please put down in the comments what you think about the situation. What would you have done if you were OP? Would you have simply run out of there, as I probably were? Or would you have confronted her and done what OP did and tackle her down? That was a nice move, by the way. I would like to hear more of your thoughts on what you'd have done in his position. This third story is something to uplift us after all the sad stories we've read in this thread. But the story is titled, "Dress for the Job You Want, Not the Job You Have." The management company that oversees my apartment building has always been total crap. Packages go missing from the mail room, repairs take forever, staff are unfriendly, not at all worth what we pay in fees. There was only one solid employee, and he almost made up for everyone else's incompetence, the janitor, Juan. He kept everything sparkling clean and even pitched in when other people slacked off, helping with repairs, ID checking in the lobby, and more, just because he took pride in the building. Then the corporate oversight of the management company changed, and the new boss was having all the properties inspected to do a quality spot check on the individual building managers. Our manager, the winner that he is, decided the best course of action would be to not come in the day of the oversight visit so that it would have to be cancelled. The hope was that the checker would just inspect what he could without the manager on site, which wasn't much since he'd have already made the trip out there. My apartment has terrible cell reception and no AC, so I spend a ton of time downstairs in the lobby, which has both. I was able to overhear most of the planning for this visit as a result. Our janitor Juan knew too, and he was spiffing everything up like new in excitement, fixing a few broken things the repairs guy ignored, and even bringing in fresh cut flowers to the lobby out of his own pocket. Juan dressed up in a collared shirt and khakis for the visit. He didn't know the manager was bailing. I just had it hanging out in the lobby late one night. So when the corporate inspector arrived, Juan was the only guy he saw. He was dressed up, so the inspector shook his hand and started rattling off the things he wanted shown to him. Juan knows the building better than anyone else on the staff, so you could tell he was a little overwhelmed at being seen as the point person, but he knew the answers to every one of the inspector's questions. Meanwhile, a few tenants and contractors who frequent the building passed and all knew Juan, brought him concerns about their apartments. Those on the staff who knew we were being inspected even made a point to say, yeah, Juan's the guy if you've got a problem. So at the end of the inspection must have come because they recongregated in the lobby. The inspector told Juan he wanted to get his full name so he could make a note in his employee file of how well he's run the building so far, and that he'd meet with him later in the week to discuss fixes for the problems he'd found. Juan, shocked, is like, "You want to meet with me again?" And the inspector is like, "Sure, I'm looking forward to a long working relationship. I like to meet with each building once a month. Sorry, what was your name again for the file?" Juan told him, and the inspector goes, "Hold on, I thought someone called Eddie was the manager here." And Juan explained, clearly embarrassed and scared he'd done something wrong, that he's not the manager. The manager didn't come in today. The inspector then went and spoke with a few people in the building on his own, while Juan absolutely lost his shit in the lobby, thinking he was going to be fired or get the building censured or something. Eventually, the inspector comes back and he sits Juan down and tells him he might not be manager in title, but he's manager in action. So if he wants it, he's got a new job. The man cried. Juan's been working as a contractor through a janitorial service, not directly for the building, so no benefits, considered part-time, very little job security or support, and he's just gone from that to a cushy office job in the building he loves in the blink of an eye. I was sitting on the couch a few spaces down from them. The lobby has a sitting area with tables and chairs and couches, and I felt compelled to ask before anyone got too excited, "Hey, excuse me, can you do that, or could someone veto this?" Because I hated to think Ron would be so excited only to have some sort of bureaucracy or old boys club shut down his promising opportunity. The inspector turns to me and informs him that he's the new COO of the management company and final hiring decisions are at his sole discretion. Then he asked who I was, and I basically said I was just leaving, and I effed off out of there before my big mouth complicated things any further. This week, Juan started officially. We've got flowers in the lobby every day now, and a dripping faucet I've been waiting 6 weeks to have fixed is scheduled for repair on Thursday. He did work here, but he does. That's a beautiful I Don't Work Here Lady story. It's given me butterflies and a happy heart to end the day, because I can't imagine how Juan felt. And I wish the actual building manager was there when this news was delivered to Juan. I can imagine his face. Anyway, good on Juan, and I'm so excited for him. I hope we had more good like this around the world. Tell me what you think. Would you have offered Juan the position if you were in the inspector's shoes? What would you have done? I think if I were Juan, I would have cried, though. I'm sure he was excited, but I would have literally cried. Thank you guys for tuning into today's episode. It was a pleasure having you. Don't forget to comment down below with any suggestions or comments for any of the stories from today. Thank you so much once more, and hope to see you next time. Bye!